To a gloomy, rainy day in May at Deerfield High School. I'm Dylan Traeger, joined by my partner Ian Van Every. Ian, it's been a while since we've been in the booth together. It's great to have you back here.
Yeah, it's been a minute, a couple years as of that, but with the gloomy, rainy conditions here today, it was a question on how well this game's going to go, how much is the rain and the water going to affect. Will we get more rain during the game? But it's good to be back inside the booth with you, Mr. Dylan Traeger, and let's get it started.
Yeah, as you said, the weather has been a huge thing today, and obviously that's going to make a difference for the athletes on the field. Besides from it raining all day, I think they said at least half an inch of rain. You know it's going to be very slick, and definitely could be expecting more rain later tonight. It's already pretty dark out. They got the lights on at 4:30 in May, which is pretty crazy. It was just 90 degrees over the weekend.
Yeah, with the gray skies, the cold front moved in. We had 90 or 80 degrees, whatever it was last week, and then now we're looking at high 50s, low in the 40s, and it's going to be cold for the remainder of the week. So, as well as the game later on between the winner of this game here and the winner of Carmel Catholic and Prairie Ridge. So, let's get ready to get started.
So taking a further look at the preview for today's game, Deerfield, obviously the 3 seed, enters the game with a 12-9-2 record. This is a team that really struggled in the conference. They weren't able to snag a single conference win, going 0-3-2. They finished the regular season ranked 73rd in the state of Illinois. And on the other hand, Antioch, the 14th seed in this tournament, finished the season 6-11-2. So these are two completely different seasons from two different teams. And Ian, these teams played against each other earlier in the season.
Yes, they did. A little bit ago, back all the way back in March 31st, and Deerfield actually won that game 4-0. It was a dominating performance from start to finish. Not really a contest in that one, so we'll see if Antioch can turn that around. But definitely, Deerfield struggles in their conference play, but out of conference teams, they dominated this year. They still managed to have a record of 12-9-2. Despite having that horrible in-conference record. So let's see if they can muster up a win here against Coits.
I would also add that even though Deerfield did pull off a win versus Antioch earlier in the season, this is a Deerfield team playing with a lot of key players out due to injury. Ava Pizer, the starting goalkeeper, she's got 5 shutouts this year in net. She's going to be out today, as well as the backup goalkeeper for Deerfield, Peyton Smith. She's out with injury this season. Besides them, Talia Joseph, sophomore defender, is going to be out today with an injury. So having those 3 players, plus Bella Krumenacher, junior forward, she's 3rd in the team in goals per match. That's 4 daily players that are aside for today. It's going to be a very difficult game for Deerfield to play with those injuries, but we'll see how they do this afternoon. Deerfield versus Antioch, all the way from Deerfield High School. He's Ian Van Every. I'm Dylan Traeger. We'll be back with you shortly for kickoff. Live from Deerfield High School, Deerfield, Illinois, for the first day of playoff soccer at the high school this week. We've got 3-seed Deerfield Warriors, the hosts today, facing off against the 14-seed Antioch Secoits. He's Ian Van Every. I'm Dylan Traeger. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning in this afternoon to Deerfield High School's YouTube network for the kickoff of IHSA playoff soccer.
Let's get it going there, Dylan. It's going to be an interesting matchup here today. Rachel Benny is going to start it off. Midfield force. Take it away, D.
And once again, while these two teams have faced where Deerfield had a 4-0 shutout versus Antioch, this is a Deerfield team that's missing 4 key players. Ava Pizer out with injury, joined by Talia Joseph, who's out, Peyton Smith, who's also out, and Bella Krumenacher. Deerfield missing their 2 goalies. And that puts in a goalie from JV to start for Deerfield. Aubrey Putz, the sophomore, earned her first varsity shutout on May 9th versus DePaul Prep. As we are underway, we've got 80 minutes of soccer to go from Deerfield, Illinois. Fortunate the rain was able to hold out, get these games in today. We've got a doubleheader at Deerfield High School today, followed by some more games on Friday. Winner of these 2 games today will face off Friday afternoon.
Yeah, you were talking about Aubrey Poots earlier. She's had a couple starts at the varsity level this year for Deerfield. Some rocky starts. She did have that one shutout, so I don't know. It's going to be a big question to answer, but I think warming up against first playoff matchup against a team that they shut out earlier in the season, we'll see how good she can really do.
Yeah, and for Aubrey Poots, I mean, you got to imagine for someone like her who's just a sophomore to get thrown onto the scene. Obviously, you're not expecting, as a sophomore, the third goalkeeper on varsity, to get tossed in the action and be playing in the playoffs, getting varsity reps. So a pretty crazy story for her.
It's good, really good corner kick there. Almost got knocked in on the header by Olivia Levin, but just goes straight in the arms.
Pretty light offense work from both sides so far. Some good defense, as there's a good kick down the line from Deerfield. Both teams just looking to keep it out of their offensive sides. I imagine it's going to be a game of pretty good defense, considering Deerfield's missing 2 of their better offensive players here. And we spoke with Antioch's coaching staff before the game, and they were reminding us how up and down of a season it's been for their team. Just 6 wins on the year, 6-11-2. And they were saying they really couldn't play well and string together wins at home or in conference. It was a lot of strong wins on the road in non-conference. So they were hoping a game like today would kind of fit into that category. Strong kick across the field from Addie Margulis, the sophomore defender, who had a defensive standout performance for Deerfield versus DePaul Prep just last week, a 2-0 win. She's an all-conference defender.
Margu is also a terrific passer, one of the leaders in assists on this team here this season, especially when playing defense.
Pretty quiet atmosphere at Deerfield High School today. I understand it's pretty cold out in the rain, but it is playoff soccer and it is May. Not a lot of excitement from the home bleachers.
No, it was a pretty mucky day earlier today. The bleachers is soaking wet right now. You got some fans out here. Maybe brought a towel, wiped down the seat before you sit down, and Enjoying a little playoff soccer.
Here's Deerfield on the breakaway. A shot and a goal! That's a Deerfield goal from Olivia Merrick. Breaking the shutout early is Merrick.
Tucker.
Time of the goal, 35-36. The freshman forward, Merrick. A shot and a goal! That's a Deerfield goal from Olivia Merrick. On the right side, Merrick getting it done for Deerfield.
Well, coming down the field was Leah Cohen, and I thought she was going to shoot that ball in. Kind of trickled off to the left, and nobody was really watching where that ball was going until it found Merrick. She tapped that right in for the first goal of the game, breaking the silence early.
For Deerfield to score a goal like that in the first 5 minutes of the game is huge, just to put a statement out that they're here to compete and leave everything on the field. And Merrick, a freshman, a great start from this Deerfield team. Had the opportunity to speak with Coach Grady, Deerfield's head coach, this morning, and he was kind of telling me, with all these injuries this Deerfield team's had, they've been a really up and down team all season. They have been fortunate to have a lot of scoring. Ian, Leah Cohen moved into 10th on the career scoring list. She's got 31 career goals as a Deerfield Warrior, and this season she had a hat trick just last week, tied her for 10th in Deerfield single season goals, tied with Riley Szymanski.
Yeah, pretty crazy also to think about the fact that she's only a sophomore. 20 goals this year for Leah Cohen, and don't forget her 9 assists as well, so she gets it done herself and dishes it out to the teammates.
I mean, to have 31 goals across her first 2 years of high school, do you think there's a chance she could potentially set a record herself for all-time goals?
I 100% think she can, especially if she stays healthy and stays committed these next 2 years. Not often you see a talent like that come through any high school.
And you know this is a Deerfield program that sends lots of girls out to play collegiately, whether it's playing on the Division I team or playing club. This is a strong Deerfield program, a lot of smaller feeder programs that lead into it, and they really build these athletes up to become strong and confident soccer players. So that's a tough list to break into, and for Cohen, only a sophomore, to do it is very impressive. There's Maya Medina on the throw-in. A strong throw-in down to Leah Cohen. And there's Cohen right now with the ball as that's kicked out. Cohen, one of the biggest players to keep an eye on as Deerfield looks to make a run in the playoffs.
She's making her point there for a corner kick, and she's going to get it from the official.
I got to say, if there's one player on this team you want to keep your eye on at all time, it's going to be Leah Cohen. Here's the corner kick from Cohen. A blast across the field. As there's a shot and a goal. Make it 2 in 8 minutes for Deerfield, as this team is quickly putting this game towards their side.
Yeah, that was another goal right there for Olivia Merrick. Off of the corner kick once again. I mean, that one was the first corner kick we saw had a little bit more of a shot. That was a little bit closer, but stretched out far. Merrick was able to get the ball down and then boot it right in. Came out of almost nowhere.
And Ian, it's the second time Antioch's goalkeeper, Nellie Hill, has sort of left the net open. You saw there she was sort of playing out of net, trying to kind of play defense and pick up on what her teammates weren't getting done. And for both goals for Deerfield, that's really allowed Olivia Merrick to have an advantage, get the ball in the net.
Yeah, well, in both of Olivia Merrick's goals so far, she's kind of hugged that left side, and she hasn't really come off of that. She's sticking to the left post, and Merrick's just finding a way to work around it, getting to that other side, opposite side of the net. So far, that's been the story of success for the Warriors.
Deerfield an early 2-0 lead over Antioch. Here's Deerfield, another shot and another goal! Deerfield 3 in less than 10 minutes. Leah Cohen We just told you to keep an eye on her, and she's getting it done. That's her 21st goal of the season. She leads the team in goals, and she's showing why. She's one of the best players to keep an eye on in this team. Deerfield, 3-0, just 9 minutes of play.
This is, I mean, obviously, we've seen a lot of low-scoring games from the Deerfield Warriors, but don't forget, this Warrior team can score. If the defense follows a sweep, we saw them drop 9 against Maine East just a few weeks ago. So keep an eye out for these Warrior athletes right now, getting off to a hot start.
And you know, Ian, when I was prepping for today's game and really taking a look at what this season has looked like for Deerfield, I was expecting them to be the ones giving up the goals early on, having your two better goalkeepers out with injury, starting a JV goalkeeper in a varsity playoff game. I was expecting Antioch to take an early advantage. So to see Deerfield hop out to a 3-0 lead and give their goalkeeper a little cushion is really big to see. As there's a shot from Leah Cohen, that's going to go over the net.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Deerfield without their first two options in goal. But what to point at right now is the Warrior defense, and they're keeping the ball almost always on the offensive side. We haven't even seen the ball cross midfield yet all that much today. So, and that's been kind of the name of the game throughout the series for the Warriors when they're without their two-star goalies.
And I think that's a really good point you had, just that the Antioch hasn't been able to take the ball over to Deerfield's goal. And I think that just shows not only how strong Deerfield's offense is, but their ability to move the ball around and really work with each other to, if you're not getting the right shot, to move it around and make sure you're keeping the ball on offense.
Deerfield just plays that suffocating offense. No holes in the defense as well. Don't really let it get past midfield. As I say that, they're going to let it get past midfield right now.
Do you believe in a broadcaster's jinx, Ian?
I 100% believe in a broadcaster's jinx. I've done it a couple times, and I see a million people doing it all over.
So far, Deerfield, the 3 seed versus Antioch, the 14 seed. Deerfield, 3 goals on 6 attempts, a total of 5 shots on goal. Antioch hasn't had a single attempt on goal today. And this is a Deerfield team that's coming off some recent success. They just recently won the bracket and the body armor tournament. A big tournament to win, very high scoring on both sides. Deerfield came victorious. 12-9-2 on the season for Deerfield entering the IHSA tournament. Deerfield, the 73rd ranked team in the state of Illinois, according to Max Preps. And they certainly have done a great job so far this afternoon showing why they're ranked so highly. The offense has commanded this game. As there's an attempt from Leah Cohen. Deerfield will get a corner kick.
Well, the last time these two teams faced, Leah Cohen also had a goal in that game. But one player on Deerfield did have 2 goals in that game, and that was Ryan Emery. So I guess we'll look to see if she can become the kryptonite of this Sequoia team.
As there's a header, and it's in! Deerfield with a 4th goal. Addie Margulis on the header. Oh my God. And you take a look at that one, Ian. Margulis with the header.
I mean, that was just a perfect corner kick. That could not have been any better. And Margulis, the defender, gets her 2nd goal of the season. But wow, what a corner kick. On the opposite side this time. And wouldn't you know it, guess who got that assist, Dylan? Leah Cohen. That is her now 10th assist of the year. So now officially, if you would, in basketball terms, a double-double for the year. 21 goals, 10 assists.
That is a highlight-level goal there from Addie Margulis. Off the header. Super impressive stuff. And as you said, Leah Cohen with assists. She has the team lead in a tie for assists per match. Averages nearly half an assist per game That was her 10th assist of the season. The definition of a team player, whether it's scoring or passing it around. Call her the Swiss Army knife. Deerfield an early 4-0 lead in just 13 minutes of play. 4 goals on 9 attempts for Deerfield. Antioch still without a goal. As that's another Deerfield goal. All the way from the corner of the 10-yard line. That's Leah Cohen getting her second goal of the game. Give her her 22nd goal of the season.
Well, I think Leah Cohen is starting to become the kryptonite for this Antioch Sequoia team. Or not even just Antioch, but anywhere in the state of Illinois. Leah Cohen is have her way right now. 2-goal game for the Warriors. And just like that, it's taken them 23 minutes to score more than they did in the first match against Antioch when they won 4-0. Now just 5-0. They have topped that right away.
And Leah Cohen just showing why she's an all-conference forward. 2 goals and an assist in 14 minutes of work for the forward.
Well, looking back to the first matchup between Deerfield and Antioch, in that game it was Ava Pizer who actually got the starting goal. But believe it or not, she only had 1 save in that game, and it was a shutout, which means there was a lot of what we are seeing right now with Deerfield keeping the pressure and the ball on their offensive end rather than defensive end, just not allowing any shots to get on goal.
That's Grace Quirky with the ball. One of the few players on this field with gloves on. I think she's one of the smarter ones. It's pretty cold outside, Ian.
It's a pretty cold day. Surprised we didn't see a little bit more of that.
There's a long kick from Caitlin Murray. Pretty cold out. I'm pretty warm in the press box up here.
Yeah, it's nice and toasty in here. Got the heater going, but we'll say the goalies are probably fine. They got pants, their own gloves. Some of these players might be a little chilly down there.
As that's going to mark Antioch's first shot on goal, and that is going to be a save for Deerfield. Aubrey Putz, the player in net for Deerfield. Just a sophomore, had her first varsity start on May 9th versus DePaul Prep. Got called up from JV just 3 weeks ago.
She's been asked for a little more than I think she would have expected this season so far from Coach Grady.
Caitlin Murray, the ball handler for Antioch. And it's Antioch really taking their first stab at Deerfield's defense this afternoon. It's been Deerfield primarily the ball handler all afternoon on offense. And you can really just see, Ian, how troubling it's been for Antioch to even move the ball around on offense. They're really struggling to find any decent shot attempt, really force them to just move the ball around. And this Deerfield team is just too quick.
Yeah, it's been Deerfield kind of, once again, that offense just kind of keeping it on their end, but also in the defensive end, they're not letting them get the ball inside the zone. We've only seen, obviously, that one shot just now, and then there was that one little scoring chance earlier, way back at the start of the game. That isn't just about it. And obviously, with an early 5-0 lead, now you can, if you're Coach Grady, you could switch up almost how you play this a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And Coach Grady just put in 2 substitutions almost halfway through the first half. But with that 5-0 cushion, you definitely want to be careful with who you've got out for an extended period of time. It is survive and advance at this point, Ian.
Well, now, especially if you're Aubrey Putz, I mean, having your first postseason start here, now your offense is giving you a 5-run or a 5-goal lead. Gives you a little bit more cushion, more relaxed, settle in goal, get some more experience, get ready to go deeper possibly in this postseason.
Still a lot of time to work with for both sides. Ian, do you want to take us around some of the other playoff matchups across the state?
Yeah, well, so far it's more been the Deerfield show so far. There hasn't been a lot more games going on. We did see Crystal Lake South take on Chicago Northtown. 9-0 victory. 9-0 as they move on. And they will face the winner of Lakeville and Crystal Lake South, who has not started yet. They start at 5 p.m. But this has been the first game around the state here today.
And we've been fortunate to really avoid the poor weather later in the afternoon, but I got to imagine some of these other host sites across the state definitely suffered worse than we did at Deerfield. Lucky to have a new turf that drains pretty well.
Well, this is the first corner kick here for Antioch, so if they are looking to get on the board and fight back against this Warrior offense, this is the perfect time to do it.
Little hesitation there on the kick, and it's a light kick on the corner kick for Antioch.
Yeah, just working off the pass right there. Interesting style there. I was not expecting them to do that at all, especially with this Warrior defense doing a very good job of keeping the ball away from the goal. But they're going to have a second chance at it here. And Dylan, do you think they're going to do the pass game again, or do you think they'll just go with a traditional corner kick?
I'm kind of looking at how they're spacing it. I think they're going to kick it pretty hard. Doesn't look like their corner kicks are working too much in their favor. As there is the second shot attempt and a save in goal from Aubrey Putz.
Even though that was at the 20-yard line, that was a pretty solid kick right there, and Putz making a really nice save. The line drive bullet into the goal. Maybe just there wasn't too much distance.
Putz gives it a little boot there. Gets it almost to the 50-yard line.
Going back to the bracket, remember the winner of this game will play on Friday right here at Deerfield High School. 6 p.m. is the start, and they're going to face the winner of Crystal Lake is Prairie Ridge High School and Carmel Catholic, 6th and the 11th seed. We'll be back right here on Deerfield Warriors Athletics as well.
Deerfield puts in a handful of substitutions, one of which, Ryan Emery, has 13 goals on the season, a senior forward. She's second on the team in shots with 68 this season. And she's second in the team in goals per match, over half a goal per game at 0.6.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, 2 of those goals came against that one game, in that one game against Antioch, so see if she can get it going once again. Although if you're Antioch, I think you're more worried about Leah Cohen, especially now to start.
I think Antioch just has to focus on offensive production at this point. Stop worrying about what Deerfield's already done the first 20 minutes and try to take advantage of everything you get on offense and take as much shots as you can, because putting up 5 goals, as tough as it is, but Deerfield's got full momentum on offense already, and the game has just started.
Yeah, well, now Deerfield with another corner kick. Antioch's focus has to be getting the ball to the opposite ends. But let's see if Olivia Levin can do anything on this corner kick right here.
A strong corner kick, another header. And I would put that down as an attempt.
I think that one got deflected. If it didn't get deflected, that was going in. Goalie fell down prematurely and left the net wide open.
Almost would have been the second Deerfield header that went in for a goal, which would have been pretty impressive, but a nice defensive stop from Antioch, much needed.
Lucky break there for Antioch. Somehow they just knew which way the ball was going to go.
Less than halfway to go in the first half of play. Antioch finally takes back a offensive possession just to throw it right away. Deerfield looking to tack on another goal, cushion their lead a little bit more. Following the conclusion of this game, Deerfield Athletics YouTube will be broadcasting the Carmel vs. Prairie Ridge IHSA playoff soccer game. That should be an estimated start time between 6 and 6:30 p.m. Central Time. That is for Carmel versus Prairie Ridge. And the winner of this game and the following game will be live on Deerfield's YouTube Friday afternoon. Antioch with the ball, kick at the 30-yard line. Just 2 shots on goal from 2 attempts for Antioch this afternoon. And Ian, it looks like Antioch is really struggling to form their own shot on goal.
Yeah, well, the ball isn't really getting into the zone. And whether that's really good defense by the Warriors or a lack of offense by Antioch there just isn't enough pressure. We're getting severely outnumbered on the offensive end.
So if you're on Antioch's coaching staff, what are you doing differently? Whether it's spacing or a different technique to try and create more offense, what do you think could be done differently?
Well, right now, I'm probably looking at the scoreboard and saying, look, we got a 5-0 deficit right now with just over 16 minutes remaining in the first half. And I think it's worth making that sacrifice. Hey, let's move a lot more players on offense because right now we're severely outnumbered by the Warriors, and the Warriors are finding the ball everywhere we go with it. There's no passing lanes. Nobody's able to advance. So I think if I'm Antioch's coach right now, I'm probably just saying, you know what, 5-0 deficit. Let's just go kamikaze mode, and let's just flood that Warrior defense and see if we can't get some goals.
And that's Deerfield doing a lone substitution. The junior forward, Tila Zabel, enters the game. Deerfield with an early lead, 5-0 over Antioch. Deerfield, 5 goals, 12 attempts, 8 shots on goal, 2 saves, and 4 corners. Antioch being shut out. 2 attempts, 2 shots on goal, 3 saves, and 2 corners. IHSA soccer from Deerfield High School being broadcasted on the Deerfield Athletics YouTube channel. He's Ian Van Every. I'm Dylan Traeger. Thank you for joining us and spending your Tuesday night with us. As there's an attempt from Tila Zabel right off the bat, being put to use on offense, misses it just right. And Leah Cohen's going to check right back in for Deerfield while they've got the ball on their side of the net. So Cohen's going to get the ball right to her. That ball was almost magnetic to where she was. As that was...
Did that go in? I think it did.
They're going to call that a goal. That looked like it went off of Antioch. That looked like it went off of Caitlin Murray. Let's take a look back at it.
Well, the save came originally from Nellie Hill, and then it kind of just deflected.
So they're going to call that a Deerfield goal from Lily Hart. Let's take one more look at it. So it does look like Hart got it off that left post.
I think it ultimately hit right at the end, but Lily Hart's going to get the credit for that goal for the Warriors.
Okay, yeah, that was Lily Hart's right foot onto that left post side. That was pretty close for a second there. I did think it went off of Antioch. But Deerfield now with their 6th goal in 25 minutes.
Not exactly the most clear goal for the Warriors here today. Didn't have that one on my bingo card. A little pinball machine action right in front of the goal, but nevertheless, it's 6-0 Warriors.
And what's kind of interesting about Deerfield's 6 goals, I believe all of them, haven't been kicked or headed that hard.
No, all of them have been really in front, and the ones that weren't like right in front of the goal were the ones coming off the corner kick, the headers that we've seen. But a lot of them have been just literally right in front of the goalie. Some of them she's fell the wrong way in goal. Some of them she's fell the right way. It's kind of got deflected and scored off a rebound, but haven't seen a red hot heater into the goal so far yet.
And with that being said, I don't think all of those goals that Deerfield has had really reflect what the game has looked like. I mean, I feel like Antioch's defense has been a little bit poor when Deerfield has the ball around the goal, but these shots that Deerfield has had really don't look like goals on, other teams.
No, and I think actually the hardest shot of the game so far today was actually Brooke Sweeney's shot from 20 yards out on Antioch. So not even coming from the Deerfield side. Obviously, Deerfield is out shooting the Scoits by quite a big margin. But we haven't seen a lot of those red hot shots that we normally are accustomed to seeing from Deerfield.
Well, I guess we can take that information and know that sometimes, as hard as you kick the ball, it could be small ball that really works for your team.
And Dylan, do you think the rain and the wetness out there has a factor in that? Maybe Grady's saying, okay, we might not be able to get that long ball going in. Let's try and get it closer, minimize the amount of errors that we can.
I imagine the ball is pretty slick as well, so you got to remember that it's going to be trickier for both goalkeepers. I know their gloves are pretty sticky, but the ball's going to be slick, and you might not get the best kick on it that you want. So by playing closer to the net, I think you're able to get more shot attempts off quicker. And Deerfield's figured it out. You also got to remember this is a team that Deerfield has played already. Deerfield beat them 4-0 back in March. They have an idea what they're working against. And I'm sure that was a game that Coach Grady looked at and he studied the film for. And whatever he's figured out has sure worked today.
And when we talked with the Antioch coaches before the game, they were still disappointed with that loss against Deerfield earlier in the year. So far, their adjustments for the matchup have just not yet clicked. There's more of a red-hot kick from Antioch once again, but once again, we're looking at a kick 25 yards out, giving Puts plenty of time to set up for that save.
I think if Antioch can find a way to make those hot kicks from inside the 15-yard line, inside the 10-yard line, I think they'd have a lot more success. Because as I've said already, Deerfield has a JV goalkeeper in net. So by taking all these different players and really kicking it as hard as Antioch has been against an inexperienced goalie, you definitely have a chance to crack into it.
Well, one thing you can see from the Antioch offense is all of those shots have come solely from one person. There hasn't been a lot of passing options out in front. They don't have the option to center the ball across the field, even drop it back and get another player to come up. It's been just one player making those shots. Antioch needs to find a way to get multiple players up to start pushing against that Warrior defense.
And this is what the Antioch coaching staff told us before the game, Ian, was their lack of offensive production has haunted the team this year, having won just 6 games this year with 11 losses and 2 ties. As there's another shot and another goal for Deerfield. Ryan Emery into the right side of the net. Off the bench, Emery comes in and immediately makes an impact.
Well, the player that had 2 goals in the last matchup against Antioch. There's a goal that we see a little bit farther out, little more finesse in the shot right there. Textbook offense right now for the Warriors. Haven't seen any flaws so far. 7-0 here early.
And we were just talking about this, but these are shots that I don't think are always going in against every team. That ball didn't even get off the ground. It was a slow dribbler rolling across the turf. And Antioch goalkeeper Nellie Hill just left that right side of the net wide open.
Looking at Antioch's 6 wins so far this season, 4 of them have been shutouts. And then obviously you saw the 2 wins, one against Woodstock and the other one against Round Lake, where they only gave up 1 goal against Woodstock, 2 against Round Lake, but the rest have been complete shutouts. So right now, it's just that defense that hasn't been clicking for Antioch.
You could also add this Antioch team comes into the playoffs not having lost one of their last 3 games. So that sort of momentum in May rolling into the playoffs definitely could help, but Deerfield has just came out the gate and flooded this Antioch team away.
Yeah, their last loss came to Grays Lake North, 6-3 deficit on May 6th. And then they of course had that 0-0 tie against McHenry in their last time out, so they haven't yet scored a goal since May 10th.
I think it's very tricky for a team to have much success without an offense that can really produce. Because you're going to face some teams like this Deerfield team that really just take it away on offense. As here's Ryan Emery on the breakaway as she can't get through. Deerfield able to recover the ball.
Deerfield struggled their last time out against Warren, losing a tough 1-0 game here at Adams Field. And then before that, they had the 9-0 blowout here at Adams Field over Maine East, old conference foe. However, technically, the old conference foe. Central Suburban League North opponent. However, the Warriors have yet to beat a Central Suburban League South opponent so far this year, going completely defeated in conference. Nevertheless, finding a way to capture the 3 seed here in the postseason.
A really strong defensive stop there from Antioch goalkeeper Nellie Hill, saving 2 shots on goal. The first of which was an impressive save, almost a somersault from Hill after the save.
Well, Dylan, so since this game has started, we've seen a lot more fans coming up to the game. Maybe it's gotten a little warmer. Maybe they're checking into the broadcast, seeing the big Deerfield blowout going on right now. Offensive production saying, you know what, I want to come get some of the action. I want to see this in person.
I think the funny thing is, anytime you have an event at Adams Field and Deerfield High School after it rains, everyone stands up at the front of the bleachers to avoid sitting down and getting wet on the bleachers. That's something I've always noticed because these bleachers, there's 1,000 seats that are open, but everyone likes to sit across at the front, not get wet. I don't blame them, but that's always why I keep towels in my trunk.
Yeah, some of the parents that like to come here for the whole game, they often bring a towel and they wipe down the seats. And then some of these fans that are just stopping by to check in, they don't want to sit down. Seats wet, a little rainy.
I like some of the parents, at least this is what my parents did. They brought those little reclining seats you put on the bleachers, and it gives you that backrest. I personally, I can't stand sitting in the bleacher for a while and not having that backrest. So having that little seat cushion, I know some of the high schools have a booster program that do it. I know Deerfield's booster program probably sells them out, but I was always a big fan of those, the bleacher seats.
Yeah, we can get a little mini shout out there for the Deerfield Booster Club. They do still hand those out, and they've been popular for quite some time.
That's Tila Zabel with a shot on goal. It's going to be a Deerfield corner kick. Just 5 minutes to go. Deerfield up a touchdown over Antioch.
It looks like that's going to be Ryan Emery going to take the corner kick for Deerfield. Typically, we see Leah Cohen take these corners, but it's actually been a mixed board here for Deerfield as Emery's taken this one, and last time we saw Olivia Levin with the corner kick.
And that's Emery pounding Deerfield's 5th corner of the game as she takes a shot, and that's going to be offsides. Less than 5 minutes to go. Deerfield up 7-0 over Antioch.
Well, yeah, everyone just kind of backed up, and Ryan Emery was caught coming out of the corner, and once you got the ball, they whistled that offside.
Deerfield 19 shot attempts in the first half. Antioch just 4. And that really says a lot of what we've seen so far in this first half in terms of offense from both sides. As here's Deerfield looking to break it away. Antioch defense coming in quick. Tila Zabel off the bench. A lot of offensive spark there for Deerfield. It's been a while, Ian, since that ball has crossed the 50-yard line.
Yeah, starting to become a wear and tear almost on this Antioch offense. Just running all over Adams Field right now. We've only seen the ball cross the 10-yard line towards the Deerfield goal about once today. That resulted in one shot that was wide.
That's the freshman Sammy Bloom checking in for Deerfield. I believe that's her first time entering the game. As here's a Deerfield breakaway. Ryan Emery with the shot and an impressive save from Nellie Hill. Kind of had a volleyball set into the air and then squeezed onto it when the ball came back down. But that's Deerfield's 20th shot attempt of the game. 13 shots on goal throughout the afternoon.
Well, there was a real power shot by the Deerfield Warriors coming off of Ryan Emery's foot there, but maybe we're seeing why Coach Grady is trying to push it closer in goal, have these little dinky shots kind of, because that was a heck of a save by Nellie Hill. Hill just saying, you know what, I'm tired of all these goals. 7's enough for me.
You see Deerfield's offense just really strong right now. Looking to tack on another goal before the time expires. Tila Zabel's been catching my eye on every play. Coming off the bench has just been a huge driving force for Deerfield's offense the last 10, 15 minutes. Time nearing expire as Deerfield, the 3 seed, leads 7-0 over Antioch, the 14 seed. From Deerfield High School, the IHSA Soccer Playoffs on Deerfield High School Athletics YouTube channel.
Well, Dylan, approaching halftime here. Deerfield still holding on to the shutout right now. So far, depending on just going based off of where the ball is at, not seeing any indications that that will change until halftime. There you go. I said it. We'll see if the announcer's jinx is real here today. There's said it.
Ryan Emery with a tough shot and a nice save from Hill as Antioch's going to escape that one.
Well, Tila Zabel had the ball in the rebound there, and she took her sweet time in the world just kind of getting the ball back around. She couldn't really find her footing on it. She had a wide open net for a good couple seconds there, as it took Hill quite a while to get to the other side of the goal. So another lucky break for Antioch.
Well, we talked about the broadcaster's jinx earlier. That's the second time I think you've been tied to it. That was a strong shot on goal from Ryan Emery, a tough kick. While Deerfield does have 21 attempts today, not a lot of them have been strong kicks. Another save from Hill. It's got to be her second or third in the last 2 minutes.
Well, I can claim an announcer's jinx right there. You said strong kicks, and Ryan Emery had a bullet, but just kept it kind of on the ground.
As time expires in the first half, that's 8. Deerfield lead by a touchdown, 7-0 after the first half. Deerfield 22 attempts, 15 shots on goal, 4 saves in the net and 5 corners. The Antioch side, 4 attempts, 4 shots on goals, 8 saves and 2 corners. Ian, I'm going to ask you the big question. Antioch down by 7. What's the key to the second half? What are they talking about at halftime here?
I think the key is really just play your hearts out. Number one, this could potentially be your last game of the season for all the seniors. You're going to want to go out with that good memory. but B, most of all, I think that 7-0 deficit right now, just go full kamikaze style right now. Try to put that pressure on the Deerfield defense and see if you just can't go out and score. You give up a couple goals, that's fine, but try and get some goals.
So we're going to take a look at some of the highlights from the first half, brought to you by DSI, Deerfield Sports Information. That's not the highlight. Here we go. Here's one of Deerfield's goals. That's Ryan Emery, wide open on the right side, getting it in. Off the bench, Ryan Emery with a goal. There's another one.
Here's that pinball goal that we saw earlier, once again. Kind of locking the ball on the post there. Perfect placement. Confused us for a good 30 seconds, if you will.
One more, a bullet all the way from the corner of the 10-yard line. Deerfield's 5th goal of the game. But Deerfield up 7-0 at the halftime break. He's Ian Van Every. I'm Dylan Traeger from Deerfield Sports Information, live on YouTube at the Deerfield High School Athletics YouTube page. We'll be back for the second half of coverage after halftime. IHSA playoff soccer from Deerfield High School, Deerfield, Illinois. He's Ian Van Every. I'm Dylan Trigger. We'd like to thank everyone for listening in and watching today's game. The 3-seed Deerfield facing off 14-seed Antioch. It is a neutral game, despite Deerfield hosting it. All these IHSA games are neutral, and this clock might look a little different for you. It is a 20-minute clock instead of 40 minutes because of the score lead that Deerfield has. Once you hit that certain threshold of a lead, the clock goes down to 20 minutes for the second half. So 20 minutes less of soccer. Let's take a look back at last half. Deerfield 7 goals, 22 attempts, 15 shots on goals, 4 saves and 5 corners. Antioch, on the other hand, being shut out, just 4 attempts. All those attempts were shots on goal, 8 saves and 2 corners. Ian, it's great to have you in the booth for another half of soccer here.
Yeah, it is, even if it's a shortened half of soccer. It's great to be here in the booth with you once again, Dylan.
I'm just thankful we get one more game together. After
Yeah.
this one, Ian and I will have the call Carmel versus Prairie Ridge. There's a Deerfield breakaway and an impressive save there from Nellie Hill, Antioch goalkeeper. I thought for sure that was going to find a way in the net.
Nellie Hill just fell right on top of it into that old basketball drill that they used to do. Rip that ball away. Don't let anyone take
if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Whatever works. A nice Deerfield stop there on defense from Taylor Zabel, the forward, getting the ball out of the jam.
Well, obviously, we've talked about winner of this game will face the winner of Carmel and Prairie Ridge on Friday. Then following that, whoever makes it even farther into a second win, they're going to face either Crystal Lake Central, Northside, Grays Lake North, or Grays Lake Central. That is the other regional that's going on right now. It's taking place in Grays Lake.
And this next game, Prairie Ridge versus Carmel, shaping up to be a pretty competitive game. Prairie Ridge 8-5-3. They've got a 5-3-1 record in conference. And they're playing in a tough conference, the Fox Valley Conference. And a 5-3-1 record only gets them 4th place, which is pretty crazy, but that says a lot about their team. Carmel, on the other hand, 8-9-2. Despite being under 500, they finished 5-1, Ian, in the conference, and that still wasn't good enough for first place. That's a second-place finish. Both of those teams are top 150 in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, well, don't let the seeds of the records fool you. Those teams are actually way more evenly matched than we might initially think when you're just looking at seeding. And if you look straight at statistics, they're actually not that far off. They mirror each other. And goals, saves, shots, all of it. So can't wait for that one and see if we have a good matchup. That one starting later on at 6:30 will be the kickoff time. So don't go anywhere. Maybe get some late night coffee. You want to stay up, keep watching.
We will get a nice little gap of break in between games, with this game slated to end before 6 o'clock p.m. Central. Next one at 6:30, as you said. But let's take another look back at the last half of play on Deerfield side. We saw 7 goals from a variety of players. Leah Cohen, who leads the team in goals, with 2. She had 2 in the first 20 minutes for Deerfield. Addie Margulis with a goal in the first 20 minutes. Ryan Emery off the bench had a goal, and Lily Hart had 1. And Olivia Merrick, only a freshman, 2 goals in the first 8 minutes of play. All those players combining for goals.
Did you notice new goalie for Deerfield? That is Lauren Jones back there. Taking on now 00, the new number. Going from 9.
Coach Grady was telling me this morning, Lauren Jones, one of the key players to watch, for the reason being her flexibility and how versatile she's been. She's played midfield, defense, and goalie. And in the words of Coach Grady, she does it all. Lauren is an all-conference defender, and she had 10 saves on the season. It's going to be 11 now after the last one. As here's a breakaway from Deerfield. Aubrey puts with the attempt, and that's going to be stopped easily by Nellie Hill. Deerfield 24 attempts on offense, 16 shots on goal. They've almost got a 50% conversion rate between shots and goal and goals. And there is a boot from Lauren Jones in net.
One thing I'm seeing right now, right away from Antioch, look how many players they have on offense. All in line, actually. Earlier we were seeing just one player out in front, and it was always just one player attack. Now we're seeing 4 different passing options. So even though they haven't been able to penetrate and get those shots yet, if they keep that pressure, it will come. The shots will come. And we'll see if Antioch can avoid getting shut out and potentially what might be their last game of the season.
Ian, with this game coming near conclusion, do you want to take us around the state of Illinois? What games we have slated to start tonight following the conclusion of this one?
Yes, well, I guess we can stay within the Grays Lake North Sectional. We will see Lake Villa taking on Crystal Lake South, the 1 versus the 16 seed. Lake Villa expected to run away with that one. That is at 5 p.m. later, so it just started about 30 minutes ago. Then we also will see Cary Grove against the Lake Forest. That is also taking on at Lake Villa is hosting that regional, at the moment. Actually, that is Lake Forest, not Lake Villa. Right down the road, same street as Deerfield High School, so straight down Waukegan, take a left if you want to see some more good soccer, regional soccer that is. Wake Forest, the 10 seed. That game will take place at 7 p.m. And then we have the regional at Mudson, St. Viator versus Mudson, the 4 versus 13 seed, Viator. That game started at 4 o'clock. We do not have an update on score yet. We will get that to you as soon as we know. And then we also have Wakanda, the 5 seed Wakanda, taking on Vernon Hills later on at 6 p.m. And that is the other regionals across the sectional, not including the Deerfield Regional and the Grays Lake Regional that we talked about earlier.
As that was a shot attempt from Julia Wolf from Deerfield, leading to Antioch with the breakaway. And an impressive defensive stop there from Sophia Petiti. Antioch moving the ball all around, looking to break the shutout. As that's going to be Scarlett Carroll kicking it right out. Deerfield taking right back on possession. Maya Medina with a throw-in. Goes a short way, leads right back to Antioch taking over.
Well, Antioch looking like it might be their last game of the season here as they're struggling to rack up any goals or anything on the offensive end. It's down 7-0 now.
And I think that says a lot about Deerfield's defense. They've only allowed Antioch to have 5 attempts on offense. And as we mentioned earlier, besides Deerfield having a strong defense, that's a JV goalie starting in net for Deerfield. It was Aubrey Poots starting in net, and she's been substituted for the second half by Lauren Jones. But very impressive work. A combined shutout thus far from Poots and Lauren Jones.
Yeah, might see some emotion from Antioch. Has quite a few seniors, actually, including star player Caitlin Balin, who's had just a tremendous season on defense. But quite a few seniors. Looking like this might be their last game. 8 seniors in total. The Antioch Sequoias.
It's a big age gap there. Antioch, 8 seniors comparing to Deerfield with just 3 seniors. And even with Deerfield having 3 seniors, not one of them started today.
And Deerfield has a team for the future for sure, and so little seniors. That senior ceremony that took place just a week ago against Maine East didn't really last all that long because there was only 3 of them. So good outlook for the Warriors for the future. I think the focus might be for next year is how do we rack up some conference wins as they lack that this year despite being a 3 seed in the postseason.
And what's always interesting about this Deerfield program is a lot of these players will break into the varsity team while being underclassmen. So you really start to become familiar with their names and their games as they'll rack up 2 to 3 years of varsity stats.
Well, Coach Grady has been extremely consistent with good team here at Deerfield. We saw that really good stretch a couple years ago. Deerfield had the 1 seed in the postseason for 2 years in a row. Have start players like Katie Morgan, Riley Shemansky, as you mentioned earlier, who's up there on the all-time goal list with Leah Cohen. And now, obviously, this team and a team of the future. So many young stars as here comes a major substitution for Antioch.
That was a herd of players from both sides running into the game. That was something I've never seen before.
Yeah, they just came in. A pack of Velociraptors just came and ran onto the field. Well, last game of the season here, getting as much experience as possible.
And I think at this point for Antioch, it was putting in and utilizing most of their bench with the game mostly put away for the most part. And that was Deerfield just putting in a couple substitutions. But Antioch, the bulk of the substitution group.
Well, I want to make a big shout out right now to our PA announcer, Sam Schwartz. He is going to town on all those substitutions, and he's actually still reading. I think he just finished. And there goes the shutout.
Antioch with their first goal of the game, breaking the shutout at 7:57. Better late than never. It's Antioch, their 6th attempt and 6th shot on goal today. Gets it done.
Well, we are awaiting that long-awaited Antioch goal.
Antioch goal scored in the 53rd minute by number 12, Elena Tan.
And they're scoring the goal to Elena Tan, the sophomore who plays forward and defense.
Tan from Dornick in the 53rd minute. Deerfield 7, Antioch 1.
Mackenzie Dordick with the assist on it.
Well, 1 goal late, possibly having a really good memory to end the year, ending it on a positive note, if you will, for the last 10 minutes of the season. Hasn't been the game that Antioch wanted or the season that Antioch wanted, so 8 seniors graduating. It's going to be a brand new team next year for the Scoits.
And the coach for Antioch was also telling us, even with the season not going the way they wanted, they have struggled with injuries. Their freshman goalkeeper, McKenna Balin, had knee surgery this year, so she's been sidelined. So losing a key underclassman starting their high school career on varsity and losing them for a significant period is always very tricky.
Yeah,
But it'll be Antioch, as you said, a rebuilding program looking to take a bigger advantage of their new team senior list with all their seniors next season.
Yeah, Balin, the next upcoming Balin, Kaylin Balin is graduating right now, so the freshman still has 3 more years to cover from that knee surgery. We could see another great Antioch team a couple years down the road.
Deerfield, a constant host for IHSA playoff soccer. A brand new turf on the field. There's a nice video board behind one of the goals.
Yeah,
And also a great PA system with music and broadcasting. It's always fun to host these IHSA playoff games at the high school here in Deerfield.
Yeah, there's been a lot of playoff games hosted here. Big thanks to Deerfield Sports Information, DSI, for making that all possible. Almost entirely student run. Take all the operations here at Deerfield. That scoreboard just a couple years old now, facing this stands at the south end.
A great organization they've got running. Mostly students doing all the game day operations at Deerfield High School. Everything you see on this broadcast is mostly ran by students, which is truly incredible. Under 5 minutes to go. Starting to see some of the other teams arrive on site. Here's the Carmel team as Ryan Emery at the 25-yard line fumbles the ball. Antioch charging onto offense, sub 5 minutes in regulation.
Yeah.
53 degrees and full of clouds and gray skies in Deerfield, Illinois. Not the weather you want for IHSA playoffs, but at least it's not raining anymore.
It's been a chilly one so far here at Adams Field.
You know it's bad when I have to bring the golf umbrella out of the trunk, Ian.
Yep.
When you got to go down to get the lineups and talk with the coaches and got to bring the golf umbrella out, that's when you know it's pretty bad. Fortunately, I haven't had to use that one yet, but...
Well, the good news for the weather here today is the wind hasn't actually been all that much of a factor. We've seen a lot more windy games as of late. So there's not really a lot of wind chill, but nevertheless, still pretty freezing out there.
And I think this next game will have more of an advantage than this one, as here's Ryan Emery on the takeaway. Ryan Emery, Deerfield, a 2-on-1, not counting the goalkeeper as that gets away. But Deerfield with a chance to tack on another one. Whistle blown. And a lost opportunity for Ryan Emery and company.
That was incredible defense by Jocelyn Newth. She knew exactly what she was doing there. She got right in the middle. I was expecting Deerfield to kind of spread out a little bit more on that 2-on-1, but they were almost right next to each other.
Well, it looks like Emery just got a little excited and was moving a little too quick. Fumbled the ball a couple times, but in that case, if you're not counting the goalkeeper, it's a 2-on-1 for Deerfield. To go home empty-handed without really much of an attempt is a little tough to see, but Deerfield fortunate to have a cushion underneath them.
Well, I think the good news there for Ryan Emery losing the ball there is I don't think Coach Grade is going to get too mad at her post-game, as this one is a runaway win so far for Deerfield.
Nellie Hill all the way at the 10-yard line, venturing out of the goalie box a little bit. Less than 2 minutes in regulation from Adams Field. You still see this Deerfield team moving around. All gas, no brakes. Playing until the final whistle is blown.
Well, with the shortened clock here in the second half for this game, it'll give some more warm-up time for the second game here today, Carmel and Prairie Ridge.
And as we said earlier, that should be an excellent game. And unlike this one, I think the ball will be a little bit more dry for those girls. I think entering this game, you can definitely imagine the ball being a little slick. Ian, when we went out on the field, talked to the coaches before the game, I remember when my shoes first touched the turf and feeling how wet the turf was. So I definitely think having 60 minutes of soccer played on it before the next group definitely helps.
Yeah, I mean, just goes to show how much rain there was here before the game. This is brand new turf, and it couldn't even suck up all the water. Still soaked out there pre-game. So we'll see if Carmel and Prairie Ridge have a little bit more leeway with the dryness as we're approaching the last 15 seconds of the season for Antioch.
10, 9, 8, 7,
And it's the final countdown, and Deerfield will be victorious. A big blowout win for number 3 Deerfield, taking it 7-1 over the 14 Antioch. A neutral site game, feeling like a home game for the Warriors. Deerfield, 7 goals, 24 attempts, 16 shots on goal, 5 saves, and 5 corners. Antioch, just 1 goal from 7 attempts, 6 shots on goal, 9 saves, and 2 corners. Ian, break it down for us. What'd you see today?
Saw an overall offensive dominance from the Warriors. They kept the ball on their offensive end. We rarely saw it cross midfield in the first half. And as a result, I mean, just a suffocating offense, and there was really no offensive attack for Antioch. They would come on. They had a couple shots in the first half, but they were always never fouled up by a rebound. There was no pass options, no passing lanes, and just some really far away shots. So dominating performance for the Warriors here today. Can't wait to see what they can do against the winner Prairie Ridge and Carmel coming up in just a moment.
And I think one of the biggest things we can talk about is Deerfield's underclassmen putting the ball in the net. Olivia Merrick, only a freshman, 2 goals in the first 7.5 minutes of the first half. And it's Leah Cohen, give her goals 21 and 22 of the season, both within the first 15 minutes of the first half. Deerfield jumped out to that really early lead in the first half, and they just took it by storm. A 7-1 victory. That's not all for me and Ian. We'll be sticking right here at 6:30 for kickoff between the Carmel Corsairs and the Prairie Ridge Wolves. IHSA Playoff Soccer, thank you so much for sticking with us this afternoon. We'll be staying around shortly after. Thank you, Ian, for joining me today. To the entire crew, Eli Klopfer with production, Dylan Zuber on camera. Thank you guys for all of your help. We'll be right here at 6:30 for more soccer. Thank you and enjoy your night.